Hello, America, and welcome. We are living in absolutely incredible times. As you will understand, not just because of what Trump is beginning to do and the changes that we're beginning to see, the next 4 years, I believe, will be the most historic and studied in future generations to come in possibly the history of all mankind. Hopefully by the end of the program tonight, you will understand why I say that. Especially, just right before we went on, I did an interview with our guest tonight, and I'm going to play parts of it. It's going to be available for BlazeTV subscribers on BlazeTV in its entirety. But I spent about 20 minutes with him, and he's one of the smartest guys I know. He has been correct on most things. I've known him for years and years and years. He is a futurist. He is an investor. He is a Silicon Valley high-tech kind of guy. And the things he told me today blew my mind, and I think you will feel the same. But let me start with ancient times. In the book of Genesis, there's a group of people from just one small part of the world that decided that human agency was at such a level that they could build a tower to be on the same level as God. And when I say a small group, it was the elites that said this. Well, the story goes, the Lord responded accordingly. He said, if, as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Genesis. So God punished them, or did he? Did he save them from the elites? He confused their language. That's the story of the Tower of Babel. One language became too many to count, and that is until the dawn of the intelligent age. Man has now embarked on a new Tower of Babel, a new creation, artificial intelligence, and it speaks one language, ones and zeros. I have thought this for a long time because I've studied this for about 30 years, and I cannot believe when you see the interview, it's real and it's happening, and I can't believe I'm going to be alive to see it. Profound changes, good and bad. But ever since I started studying this, the Tower of Babel story just kept coming to me. It's just not a warning of what will happen when human arrogance thinks it exists at the same level of God, but also a dangerous warning for what will inevitably happen because we're going to try it again. This time we're not trying to build a tower to reach the heavens. We are trying and about to create an entity that some will say is a god. There is a global arms race for artificial intelligence, and it just started. And as fast as things are going to go, it's just started, and we're also nearing an end game. I'll show you tonight how close we are and what it means. Now, this time, it's not just one small corner of the world as it was in the Bible. It is being pursued by elites who want to redesign society, evil regimes, private companies, and our own government. All of us into the race, and you're not going to stop it. But no matter where the lab is located, they all speak the same ones and zero language. It's no longer a question of if it will be completed. That ship now has sailed. Even the most pessimistic say it is just a question of who will be the first. Because that organization, that company or that country, that government will control the world. And it's going to happen within the next few years or sooner. By 2030, you will not recognize life on this planet. Now, let me show you some of the current players, the ones that everybody's paying attention to. The United States has been wildly believed to be the leader in AI, the research, the development, but a global shock just hit 2 days ago and the markets reacted. On Monday, the stock market bled out $1 trillion as news broke that China's new AI chatbot, DeepSeek, overtook OpenAI's ChatGPT as the most downloaded AI assistant on app stores. DeepSeek. What is it? Well, it's not what is it that is as important as how does it work. They claim they can operate with less hardware at a fraction of the cost. Well, the U.S. company NVIDIA saw their shares plummet in a massive global sell-off. People thought China was a lot further behind on this, but now they appear to be, at the very minimum, at parity with us in the race for artificial general intelligence. General intelligence, AI, is good at one thing. Artificial general intelligence is like you. You're a general intelligence human being. You can do many things. You can be a master of many things, but also maybe not a master of anything, but you can be close on a lot of stuff. Without exaggeration, AGI is a master at almost everything. It is as good as humans. The race to AI is more pivotal than the Manhattan Project or the race to the moon. It dwarfs all of these. If China wins, it is game over. Chinese will rule. But China is but one of the competitors racing to artificial general intelligence. And there's a reason why earlier I used the phrase, the intelligent age. There's a billionaire boys club. They declared the theme for their annual WEF meeting this year as Collaboration for the Intelligent Age. I think that WEF would be just fine with China winning the AI arms race, as long as they can be some of the people who are at the head of the table to help re-engineer society. We all know at this point what the WEF really stands for. They are the supreme beings of moral society. We should trust all of them. Well, can we? Here are a few of the numbers just from this year's meeting in Davos. Their meeting last week brought in over 50 heads of state. Attendees numbered over 3,000, spanning 130 countries. These are the world's most influential political leaders, top grossing corporations of the world, and they all want a seat at the table in the engineering of society. And they're all just so benevolent. Their morality is so pure. And, I mean, why wouldn't we trust them with our future and our lives? Well, let me keep the numbers rolling here. The number of booked prostitutes skyrocketed last week over 100% from the WEF meeting in 2024. The reporting from last week highlights the massive increase in the demand for sex workers that are men who like to dress up as women. There is a significant increase in the amount of large sex parties and orgies. There was also a bigger trend in the use of non-disclosure agreements that required people to sign while attending these orgies. I mean, yes, they are depraved, they are power hungry, they're degenerates, but they're not stupid. They learn from their mistakes. First Epstein and now Diddy. Ain't nobody got time for any more of those pesky leaks and lawsuits. Now, it's on our side. That's who's fighting for the West. And some of these people, like China, are in the arms race for AI. Klaus Schwab wrote a book on it, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. He wrote this years ago. They've been preparing for what's about to happen, and the Great Reset was merely a massive social primer for an experiment, really, for what we're about to see. And what is it exactly we are about to see? Well, some may disagree with this, but not very many. Social disruption unlike anything that has ever happened to humankind. For starters, politicians of the world love to get elected by promising job creation But Elon Musk has gone on the record to say that AI will eventually create a reality where not one job is needed. Well, what the heck does that mean? Well, the World Economic Forum put out this chart last week that shows the fastest growing and declining jobs by 2030. The jobs on the left are the 15 fastest growing jobs, and the ones on the right are the 15 fastest jobs in decline. Nearly every single job that is growing has to do with research and implementation of artificial intelligence. And all the jobs that are declining, those jobs aren't just disappearing, they are being replaced by AI. We are at the very beginning of being conditioned to accept what's about to happen. Now, the media has begun to report that you should know, we should all expect the workforce to shrink a bit in the next 5 years. 300 million jobs are in danger in the next 5 years. That's just from what's already been developed, chatbots like ChatGPT. There is about to be an unemployment or employment disruption on a level that has never been seen, but the experts say there is nothing to worry about. They claim AI, even though it will destroy jobs, will create a lot of jobs as well. That's the happy version. The WEF says there's going to be millions of useless people that will need to be sedated or on virtual reality just to keep them under control. Neither of these sound good. Pardon my skepticism. I'm not seeing this. I mean, we're going to talk about this later, but AI agents, the drop in artificial workers will replace most human man positions, and it's coming by 2026. The World Economic Forum is now calling for manufacturers to embrace them now. I want to show you this photo. Here's a photo of a huge manufacturing plant, guy up on the bridge above it. How many people do you see in that plant? How many jobs? Now, historically, you'd see dozens of human jobs working up and down the assembly lines, technicians fixing issues, managers overseeing the entire operation. This entire factory looks to be manned by one person. Where are all the new jobs that AI will create in this scenario? But don't worry, the World Economic Forum laid out our future and what it might look like by 2030. They did this in their meeting last week. It's all good. Benevolence and morality. Goodwill towards men. I'll show you that reality next. Tomorrow on radio, and if I have time, a little bit of this tonight on what you need to do to prepare. This is something that is just going to be a spiritual awakening, honestly. What's real? What matters? I'm thrilled to be a part of the preborn family. Preborn saves babies and moms, babies and souls. Right now, they have introduced an abortion pill reversal treatment, which provides women with a second opportunity to choose to bring babies into the world. When you join forces like I have with Preborn Ministries, you empower women to reverse the curse. What you might not be aware of is that even though Roe versus Wade has overturned, abortion has been greatly restricted in many states, but abortions are way up. The abortion pill has superseded surgical abortions, accounting now for over 60% of all abortions. Preborn's network of clinics are on standby for women in their darkest hour, and they meet them with God's love and free services to help them choose life, not just that day, but for 2 years. Would you help Preborn? Start the new year right by supporting life. One ultrasound is just $28. $140 will help rescue 5 babies and their moms. Help us. Just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 keyword baby. Or you can go online and donate at preborn.com/Glenn. That's preborn.com/Glenn. You know, there's been two things that I've dedicated my career and my life on, and that is the saving of America, which we're in process of doing that right now. Don't know how it works out. We still have a lot of work to do, but I think God stepped in to save us. Why would he save us? Why? Is it just for our freedom? I think it is bigger than that. I really believe we're in those days, and the tools to oppress, as described in the book of Revelation, is upon us. It is a beast. Tonight's topic is very, very heavy. The global arms race to AI is crazy, and so are the people who want to control it and re-engineer society with it, like the World Economic Forum. It is very concerning. I am afraid that people think that this is just going to be like the iPhone or Alexis. It's not, or Alexa. It's not. It is not like that. That's thinking that surgery is like playing the game Operation. I don't want to be doom and gloom, but I do need you to understand it's now here. Before I get into some of the signs I saw at the World Economic Forum meeting last week, here are a few wins that can be traced directly back to you. It is this audience that began getting the word out just a few short years ago. You did this. This month, a federal judge hit American Airlines for their ESG investing, saying it violates federal law. Does that happen just a few years ago? Does it happen without you, this audience, your outcry? BlackRock just left the UN's net zero initiative. Are you kidding me? BlackRock? The entire association folded soon after. This was the weapon. This was their Death Star the elites of the world had, who would gather at the World Economic Forum. This is what they were wielding to enforce ESG and keep us in a box. ESG was one of the biggest weaponized tools of the Great Reset transition, and it is imploding before our very eyes. It is glorious, but as we saw last week, this is far from over. At the end of the day, this entire operation is about shifting all of the wealth of the world, all of it, towards a few select people. Listen to this banker at the World Economic Forum last week stating very clearly what this is all about.
We've got to do our bit to do the right thing vis-a-vis our clients, because they want to transition to a net zero environment, but it requires massive investment. That's what we do. We come up with those dollars. But two is we make money. Right? It's a big business for us.
This is big business. Their clients. Do you know anybody that wants that? Their clients are the elites at the World Economic Forum, and it's a big business for us. It's making boatloads of money. It's transferring wealth. And for the Billionaire Boys Club, they believe they've already put the world on an unstoppable train. For them, as mentioned in their conversations last week, the election of Donald Trump doesn't matter. Really? As per the CEO of IKEA, who stated, quote, "The roadmap to transformation has started. It is massive. It is unstoppable. We are already collaborating on a scale where no one can stop it. Not one country, not one leader making a decision." So what is it that they've been building? What is this freight train that just no one can stop? Well, I want to show you a piece of it. John Kerry was talking about an initiative on a corridor. Listen to this new corridor.
This is one of the strongest and most exciting proposals that I've been privileged to be part of in the years that I have come to the World Economic Forum. This is big. This is a huge idea. And it depends on the best of private sector, public sector cooperation.
Do you even know what he's talking about? If I said it's a corridor in the Congo, would you be like, oh, yeah, I heard about that. That's very exciting. What are they talking about? It's one of the biggest and best examples of public-private partnerships. What is it? Well, it's something they call a golden global gateway for the proof of concept for our sustainable future. It brings together transportation, manufacturing, security, basically everything under one umbrella for the common good for the people that reside there in the Congo. Morals, benevolence. And the governments around the world, including our own Treasury Department under Biden, pitched in to move it along. But is it really about morality and goodwill towards men of the Congo and women and children of the Congo? Or is it more in tune with what that banker just said? It's big business for us. Does it have probably more to do with dollars? Well, the green agenda's dirty little secret is none of it will work without the exploitation of millions of African countries and their resources. The people there are going to be devastated. John Kerry heaped admiration on this great example of a public-private partnership lifting up the people of the Congo. Well, it might have made more of an impact, for me at least, if they would have added in these cute little facts. The Congo is the world's largest producer of cobalt, the main element used in the batteries of all those electric cars everybody at the WEF loves so much. The Congo is also a major producer of copper, essential for all the clean energy proposals and more electricity. Come on, can you guys make it a little less obvious? This is about money, power, and control. China is doing their Silk Road, the road and belt thing that they're doing. I can't remember the name of it right now. But the thing that they're doing, and they're saying we're being benevolent, we're holding these countries. They're raping those countries, and the WEF is doing the same thing. Now, the WEF mentioned another project they're working on. Here's the chairman of MasterCard on the steps towards an all-digital economy.
I'm really quite impressed with the current negotiations within the region on a digital economic framework agreement, which, if it is concluded, and I know there are ambitious ideas, by their own estimates, will double the potential for the digital economy in the region from 1 to 2 trillion in 2030, and would be the first regional framework on the digital economy.
We're talking about the EU, a new digital economy, being built on what seems to be a pilot program. The pilot program is, within the Association of the Southern Asian Nations. Let me show you a slide from what they did show and what it entails. It includes all private and payment as digital. All trade will be done inside the WEF system. They will monitor cross-border data and cybersecurity. It's all part of an entire system, and the biggest part is digital ID and authentication. They'll have $2 trillion worth of weight to back it all up. In other words, if anybody wants to continue to do business with this entire region, and this is just the test region, you will have to opt in for all of the regulated digital framework. That means you cannot be anonymous anymore. You cannot spend money outside of the central bank's digital currency. Everything that we hold dear, everything that the Bible says is coming, is going to be here. Everything that Bitcoin was designed to stand against in this new world. How does Bitcoin survive? It doesn't. We must be prepared to be a continent-sized island standing all by ourselves. The end of privacy and anonymity felt like sort of a side theme at the WEF this year. Here's the Prime Minister of Spain.
I propose putting an end to anonymity on social media. In our countries, no one can walk the streets with a mask on their face or drive a car without a license plate. No one can send packages without showing an ID or buy a hunting weapon without giving their name. And yet, we are allowing people to roam freely on social networks without linking their profiles to a real identity.
Amen, brother. And if you want to go out and vote, I mean, you don't need ID. What are you, a racist? The fact that the WEF is pushing this is very on brand. They are simply following the playbook for the country they think is positioned to rule the world. The same system was enacted in China. And it's not just China's police state that the elites over at the World Economic Forum covet so very much. And this is the scariest part. They see China as a blueprint for the implementation of artificial intelligence. As we saw this week, China is a lot closer than everyone thought. The question over whether we should build AI or not, that ship is sailed. It's being done whether you like it or not. It's now a question of who gets there first. Will it be the CCP? Will it be wielded by the elites of Davos to further re-engineer society? Or will it be the free United States to be first? I mean, we were first with the Manhattan Project, we were first with the moon, and everybody thought we were behind, and we were first. Will we be this time? When it comes to the race to AI, this is the most important Manhattan Project. Fundamental societal change is closer than you realize. Please stay with me. I show you next. I want you to do something that sounds crazy, but I just want you to think, ponder this tonight. If the President of the United States came on television and said, there are aliens, they are above our planet now, and they're going to land with their whole delegation and their party in the next year, how would that change your life? How would you think? How would you begin to think? How would you plan the next 4 years? What would the important things to do be? What if I told you that, yes, the aliens are there and they're coming. We don't know anything about them. We just know they're landing. But don't worry, there's a group of elites that are going to meet with them first. And, okay, they've talked about us as useless people, but they're going to protect us and they're going to get in with them first. Would you be more comfortable? And I don't say this with hyperbole. I don't make this statement lightly. We are at the precipice of the arrival of an intelligence, but not from space and not in human form. We don't understand how this intelligence will work or even think. But some elites who think you're a useless eater, some of these elites think they can get in with it and control it. I mean, that always works out really well in those alien movies, doesn't it? You know, the corporation guy who's like, yeah, and then they're always eating. We are going to see artificial intelligence and then soon after, superintelligence. Superintelligence is a god in a box. It will be as if God is among us. Now, I believe that the Trump administration finally decided enough was enough. The United States will win this race, and the new Manhattan Project just began. China will not be the first. Now, the elites at Davos will not have first dibs to re-engineer society with it, I hope. We will be the first, ready or not. This is happening. Tonight, I'm going to show you what Stargate actually is. I'm going to show you the clues from the leading experts in artificial intelligence, connect the dots, and by the end of tonight's show, and if you want more on it, you'll be able to go to Blaze TV and download my full interview with our guest who's coming up next, it is mind-blowing. You must prepare. All right, let's go back to China, DeepSeek, for a second. First things first, do not download it. And I know human nature, that makes you go, I want to download it now so bad. Don't. China is using it, not only to advance their AI development, but also as a way to spy on people like TikTok could only dream of. From DeepSeek's own words, they, quote, steal your text or audio input, prompt, uploaded files, feedback, chat history, or other content that you provide to our model and services. We automatically collect certain information from you, including internet or other network activity information, such as your IP address, unique device identifiers, and cookies. We collect certain device and network connection information. This information includes your device model, operating system, keystrokes patterns or rhythms, IP address, and system language. Where you log in from multiple devices. We use the information such as your device ID and your user ID to identify your activity across all devices. Don't download it. It's DeepSeek, apparently the American AI killer. That's what people are saying. Reason Magazine recently interviewed an AI insider, an expert, and he said this: DeepSeek and current chatbots are the equivalent of running one experiment at a time. The American AI projects currently in the works will be comparable to running millions simultaneously. Now, that is interesting to me because what he is describing is the process of when AI agents, drop in AI workers, are working as millions of super intelligent AI researchers to grow what we have now into artificial general intelligence and then super intelligence. It will grow itself, which means we will not understand how it happened. Now, this would lead you to believe we already know how to build it, but we don't have the infrastructure for it yet, which actually tracks with a recent blog post from OpenAI's Sam Altman, who said, quote, "We are now confident that we know how to build AGI, and we're beginning to turn our aim beyond that to superintelligence in the true sense of the word." Well, 9 days ago, Altman was forced to address that statement, and it was reported that he walked it back. But did he walk it back? He stated, quote, "Twitter hype is out of control again. We are not going to deploy AGI next month, nor have we built it." Okay, well, that's not what he really said the first time. He said they know how to build it, and they're moving beyond AGI to superintelligence, but they haven't built it, nor have they deployed it. I got that in the first tweet. Now, maybe because they don't have the infrastructure built, nor do they have the energy capacity. This is going to blow your mind. If we've already cracked the AI code, what exactly do you need to build and deploy this thing? Well, this is a blog post from another OpenAI expert. He is part of Super Alignment for OpenAI, which is the team that basically tries to figure out how to manage artificial superintelligence when it arrives. Good luck being the first to be eaten. His blog post goes on to say, to predict AGI possibly within 2 years and ASI not long after. Now, the biggest hang-up, as I think Sam Altman hinted in his post, is building the infrastructure and powering it. For AI to fully grow and develop, experts predict they are going to need data centers that can handle 10 gigawatts of power. Great Scott. Now, this would take $100 billion just to start with the cost of rising to several hundreds of billions of dollars over the next few years. You need one giant nuclear power plant. And then all of the servers that are draining that thing every day. It is looking to me more and more like Silicon Valley knows how to build AI. They just need the funds and the infrastructure to launch it. which tracks with the most of the known players in America's race for AI. Meta is dumping billions into AI infrastructure. Amazon is doing the same, looking for the way to solve the power consumption problem. Microsoft and OpenAI are already pledging $100 billion, the exact amount mentioned in the blog post I showed you a minute ago, to build out their data center. The only thing left that would truly send this arms race into endgame would be a government-led Manhattan Project type effort to push this over the finish line. Did you notice who was hobnobbing around with the president at the inauguration? Don't worry, just people like Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Tim Cook, Sundar Pichai from Google. Pretty much every major player in the American global AI race. One day later, the president made an announcement. The U.S. government, along with OpenAI, SoftBank, who is absolutely in bed, all of these people are in bed with WEF, Oracle, they launched a project called Stargate. This is a joint venture that would include $100 billion, the exact proposed amount needed to launch an AGI data cluster to actually fund the AI data centers. Okay, the money allotted is reported to grow by over $500 billion over the next 4 years. Again, exactly what is projected to be needed in order to see AGI make it to ASI by 2030. Our world is about to change in ways, remember the aliens coming down, in ways you won't know how to plan for. It doesn't have to be a scary thing, but it is like the nuclear bomb. So many times over. You drop in AI agents, which are about to take over jobs at an insane place. You're going to see this beginning soon. You'll have soon a Zoom meeting with 2 humans and 2 AI agents, when it used to be 4 human beings. There's still a lot to process and worry about. For one, do we really trust some of these wolves that are surrounding President Trump? People like Zuckerberg, Google, the rest? Were they not just recently fully on board with the WEF? Not to mention, one of the partners is a company called MGX. That's basically the government of the UAE, a strong WEF ally. The Manhattan Project has begun. Here's President Trump speaking remotely at the WEF.
This reduced the cost of virtually all goods and services. It'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto.
Okay, he was talking about solving the power consumption problem and opening up the U.S. oil and gas. Our government is finally getting serious about this, and AI is coming, probably in the next couple of years. Are we ready? Well, I thought I was until I did a pre-interview before the show started, and I'm going to show you a piece of it next. My next guest knows this inside and out, and he has perspective on this that is mind-boggling. That's next. I happened to be in a hotel maybe 12 years ago, and they were running a big tech investors meeting. And I was allowed to just sneak in and just watch, and it blew my mind, the things that they were talking about. And one of the speakers is the guy I'm going to show you next. His name is Jeff Brown. He's the CEO of Brownstone Research. He's a 25-year executive in the big tech industry. He is active, successful angel investor in early stage technologies. He's the most calm and reasonable guy I know. We don't see AI necessarily the same way. He is much more positive than I am. I hope he's right. But I want you to listen to a piece of this interview, and that runs about 20-some minutes, so we can't play all of it here, but it's all available at blazetv.com. If you're a subscriber, just check it out right after the show. Watch it. It is so important. Watch. Jeff, welcome. How are you?
Fantastic.
It's good.
Great to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. A lot has changed in a very short period of time. This is moving a lot faster than any of the experts, 5 years ago thought. I kind of want to, I'm trying to read tea leaves here, and you're a guy who, makes tea every day, so you would know. But it seems to me as though researchers know how they think they can get to AGI and ASI. We just don't have the server farms and the power yet. Do you think that's accurate?
It is accurate. There is very clearly an architectural path in terms of how to develop the software to get to that stage in, from my perspective, a very short period of time. And when I say that, I mean within 18 months, we will achieve artificial general intelligence.
There were people, Jeff, when we talked maybe 5 years ago, there were people who still said AGI probably is impossible and ASI will never get to.
To that point, back in 2018, 2019, I had predicted that we would reach AGI by 2028, which at that time, experts thought was a ridiculous prediction.
Madness.
And even I recognized I was a little bit too conservative. It will happen in 2026, no later than 2026. We just need to build out the infrastructure, the computational horsepower to achieve that.
Okay, so I was just explaining a minute ago that we need 10 gigawatts of data cluster. And that will require enough power to run a state, will it not?
Well, I probably an easy framework to remember for achieving artificial general intelligence would be, we need about a gigawatt of power. So that's equivalent to kind of a large nuclear reactor. That would be enough to power the data centers to achieve that at a cost of tens of billions of dollars. The key thing to understand is the energy, the electricity is there, and we certainly have the capital to make that a reality. In fact, it's being invested right now. So this isn't something that needs a breakthrough to happen. We know what to do. We just power ahead.
Do you trust the SoftBank guy and Zuckerberg and Bezos and all these people that were with the WEF, and now they're standing behind Trump going, yeah. One of them is on record saying China is the kind of the model for AI. I hope not. I hope not.
No, China is not the model for artificial intelligence. Yeah. And no, we cannot trust Google or Meta at this stage. They are still actively censoring certain content and pushing political narratives on their platforms. It's only X at this stage, which is really protecting freedom of speech right now.
Right, and it looks like Elon Musk kind of left out of this one. He has XAI. Everybody's saying, he's getting so many favors. Not on this one, and this is the big one.
This is the big one. And I actually think Musk and his team at XAI, which have built the data center Colossus right outside of Memphis, Tennessee, they're the wild cards. I believe they're really going to take the entire industry by storm in a matter of months. I think no later than April or May, and come out with something that demonstrates some elements of AGI. Everyone has been discounting XAI and Musk because they have a perception that they got a late start at this, but they're moving faster than anyone else in the industry.
So what do you mean some elements of AGI? How will that manifest itself?
Well, some would argue that we're seeing some of it already. And it manifests itself with being able to demonstrate that it can reason in a way that's similar to the way that humans reason. So it can break down a problem into a series of steps. It can verify and validate and check each step to determine if it's moving in the right direction, if it's producing an optimal output. and eventually get to the stage where it comes up with a correct answer. Another example of something for us to look for is the ability to conduct self-directed research. So you and I may give the instruction that we would like to discover a novel material to produce lithium-ion batteries that hasn't been created before. And then with enough electricity and enough computational horsepower and enough time, it would come up with an answer or a series of answers that could be very exciting to explore.
So if we have ASI, artificial superintelligence, by 28, what does 2030 look like? Best case, worst case?
Well, that's why this race to AGI is so important. We can't get to, obviously, ASI until we've achieved AGI.
Right.
And we certainly don't want a powerful adversary to beat, the U.S. to achieving that, because we wouldn't be able to defend against a bad actor. And that's why it's so critical that we invest heavily into achieving this. But ASI is having not only the world's knowledge at its fingertips, but the ability to conduct self-directed research, to be able to do things that are far beyond human-level experts on every subject imaginable, and to be able to come up with novel inventions and discoveries that are literally beyond the comprehension of the human race. So it's almost hard to imagine what 2028 or 2030 are going to look like, because we will have a hard time understanding what it discovers, what it creates, what it invents.
It is, then you're going Ray Kurzweil, then you go into transhumanism. I don't know if people really understand what's coming. Because it's no longer an if, it is truly when. And if it continues to accelerate like this, it could happen at any time, as soon as we have the power and the servers. How do you describe this to people who are like, okay, so it's, I have Alexa in my house. It's not that. It's not that.
Well, perhaps a simple way, and especially this year when we think about innovation in artificial intelligence, last year it was really all about enabling the reasoning capabilities into artificial intelligence. This year, the big focus of the industry, aside from obviously working towards AGI, is creating a technology called agentic AI. And what that means is we're giving the AI agency. We're giving it and empowering it the ability to go out and do tasks that we would normally do. We can give them access to a bank account or to a digital wallet and tell them, we need this to be done.